For the first time in 22 years, the Clemson baseball team has a new head baseball coach, Monte Lee from the College of Charleston, heading to Clemson to be the Tigers' next baseball coach. Michael Haney from 107.5 The Game joining me. First off, just your initial thoughts on this hire.
Makes a lot of sense. I know it certainly makes a lot of sense, Derek. It's a hire that I don't think Clemson fans and maybe even Dan Radakovich initially thought that's where they were going to go with it, but Monte Lee is a guy that is as entrenched in this state more than anything that I think Clemson's had. And they haven't had many. I mean, it's Bill Wilhelm, it's Jack Leggett, and now it's Monte Lee, but a guy that grew up in Lugolf, Elgin area, went to Charleston, and is a coach and spent some time in Spartanburg, and has also been a guy that has worked here under Ray Tanner. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense for him, and now being the head coach at Clemson, it's one that fits. I know for Gamecock fans it's going to be a little weird for them, but I do think this is a very, very, very good hire for Dan Radakovich.
You mentioned Gamecock fans. Let's look at it in a perspective of South Carolina baseball. Does this affect them in any way?
Well, I think it's going to make things challenging, even more challenging. I mean, look, Jack Leggett had coached at Clemson for over 20 years. He's a Hall of Fame baseball coach, several trips to Omaha, a guy that recruited extremely well. But things had waned a little bit. It had gotten stale for him at Clemson. The winning wasn't quite there the last few years. Recruiting in state had been stale a little bit. The reputation among some coaches maybe not where it should be. Monte Lee won't have that issue. Monte Lee is a guy that is as respected across the board in the coaching community as you will find across South Carolina, and a guy that I think is going to do a very good job of really getting back into those roads in South Carolina and recruiting very well within the borders. Clemson had talent. It's not that they were devoid of talent. They just didn't recruit the Palmetto State as well as they had under Jack Leggett in recent years, and I certainly think Monte Lee is going to change that in a big, big way.
Got to imagine as much success as he had in the Colonial, that can only translate well into the ACC, as he has roots, like you said. Now I think it's going to be a case of where can he get it done at an ACC level each night. So we'll see how that works out. As far as the Clemson-South Carolina rivalry goes, Monte Lee, obviously you mentioned, he's been around this before. He's been around it for a long time. How does this play in as far as Chad Holbrook goes and what his future is at South Carolina? Do you feel like this hire plays into that at all?
Well, I do think that the ante has been upped. I think there certainly, as I've mentioned several times, respect there for Monte Lee and what he's been able to do as a young coach in this profession, his recruiting abilities that he has. It's not that that South Carolina had to, relax at all in any way, shape, or form because they were going toe-to-toe with Monte Lee for some very good talent. I mean, that's the thing, Derek. He found some talent that maybe folks weren't looking for. He found those diamonds in the rough. He supplements his team with JUCO talent, and he beats and has beaten South Carolina and Clemson head-to-head for very good players. So he's found a way to get the job done here. That is what you have to look forward to if you're a South Carolina fan, just an even higher grade of competition within your borders for recruits. That's what Monte Lee is going to bring to the table, and obviously on the field, the rivalry already is what it is.
Certainly a great hire today for the Clemson Tigers, and I'm sure that Monte Lee will certainly keep this program in contention for years to come. Mike, thanks so much for being with us, man.
Thanks for having me.
That's a look at sports. Stay with us. We're back after this.